welcome
here.
welcome to the program, Robert.
Thanks for having me again.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. 2018 was wild and woolly, and so many unexpected twists and turns. But tonight, we will. I'm trying to be dramatic. Tonight, we will delve into the deep, dark, dank recesses of your mind, Robert.
Oh no, what a scary place.
We're gonna do like a replica with Keanu Reeves, man. That movie just come out where he pokes somebody in the eye and extract their brain memories, and we're gonna find out what's in your brain for 2019. Welcome to the show. And before we get going, Robert, just kind of reintroduce yourself to audiences that haven't been here to hear you before.
I was first on your show because I run a website called Mexico Unexplained, and I have a book out also by the same name. While I am not running my import business, this year will be 20 years that I've owned an import business where I import mostly things from Mexico and other Latin American countries. So while I'm not doing that, I have this side gig, Mexico Unexplained, where I talk about the weird things of Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
So that's basically who I am. And this whole predictions thing, it's been a load of fun. I've been doing this on Facebook for 5 years, and it just started out as something kind of fun and innocent. And I put the predictions out there, and then like 2 months later, uh, someone came back to me on Facebook and said, "Hey, one of your predictions came true." And I was like, "Really? What? Huh?" And then a bunch of the other ones started to come true too. So then I started to do it every year, and it's been pretty weird, very interesting to see what comes true and what doesn't, because some things I predict do not come true.
Mm-hmm.
So that's that. And this goes all the way back, actually, beyond Facebook. The whole prediction thing goes back to high school, and I am sad. I'm sorry to say this, but a lot of people in high school thought I was psychic, but I was just observing things, and I was pretty intuitive, and I would say things, and it got pretty out of hand. I have to tell you this. It got out of hand, and then I said, "I can't do this anymore. I'm just tricking people." But I was accurate, but I was just using observation and intuition to come up with predictions about different people. And I guess I was pretty good. I don't know, whatever. But I told everybody, "Hey, I'm a fraud. I'm just fooling you guys," whatever. And there were three girls I remember that said, "No, you're not a fraud. You're not fooling anybody. It's a real gift that you have, and it's coming from somewhere. We don't believe you, and our
Mm-hmm.
people just want to believe, in this stuff, I guess." But I guess so. It goes back a long way. It goes back 30 something years now. High school was a long time ago, but like I said, it's just a side thing. And I can't see the chat now, but I'm pretty sure that someone is probably asking if I could give them the lottery numbers, because someone always asks me that every year.
uh,
And I don't give private consultations. I had to put that on Facebook this year because some of my predictions were really, really accurate and really bizarre, and they have been for the past couple years. And so people have asked me for private readings, and I did make when William and Kate's baby was born, I got the date right. I got that it was a boy,
mm-hmm.
and I said his name was going to be Arthur James, but it was Louis Arthur.
Mm.
So I was really, really good with that one. And when that happened, a girl from high school contacted me and said, "Predict my future." And I was like, "Okay." She was a real estate agent, and I said, "The latter half of 2018 is going to be your the big time for you this year. You're going to sell a lot of houses." And then she came back to me in December and she said, "You were right. I sold more than I've ever sold before."
Hey,
Huh?
let me ask you something about that though. Somebody told me that on New Year's Day, if you hide money outside on New Year's Day in your yard and bring it in on January 2nd, that during the year you have called in financial prosperity. Anything, is that true?
Never heard of that before, but hey, try it. What do you got to lose,
Okay,
right? Unless
okay,
someone, if you live
okay,
in a bad neighborhood.
and then you mentioned selling houses. There's another one I think. There's some saint that you bury
Yep.
upside down in the yard. You know about that?
Yes. In fact, I used to sell those saints. And they used to come in a packet. They were coming from Mexico.
Oh,
It's
like a
St.
kit.
Joseph, San Jose. And what you're supposed to do is bury him in your either front yard or backyard. It depends on who you're talking to. Front yard or backyard. And then you're supposed to turn him upside down and away from the house.
Hmm.
And that's supposed to sell your house really quickly. And yeah, I was selling those for a while, and then they stopped making them. But I think they're still out there. You can buy this sell your house packet thing with that saint. Yeah.
Hmm. By the way, for those that have been here a long time and know about Grandma, it looks like Grandma in the live chat has been sick for the last couple of days, according to her son
Oh,
Chuck. So keep Grandma in mind. Well, let me ask you about that. Let's go segue into that. You got that saint turned upside down. What do you get? What is there for sickness to prevent sickness or to get well?
there are a lot of things. In fact, I don't mean to like pitch my business or whatever, but there are
Oh, go
little
ahead.
there are little charms that people can buy. They're called milagros, and that literally means miracles in Spanish. And they're little tiny charms. And I think I've imported a total of about 300,000 of them over the past 20 years. And I have actually at home, not here, my home office, I have a folder of letters that people have written to me saying about how effective these charms have been in healing and things that have happened. When I had a retail store, it was funny. A woman came in and she said she hadn't had a job for a long time, and she needed a job and it's been a while. And she said, "Do you have a milagro for that?" And I said, "Well, the shaking hands milagro is supposed to be for business, negotiation, all that stuff." So I sold it to her, little charm for 95 cents over the counter. She was walking outside my store. She was walking out the door and she got a call from a job prospect. And she went in for the interview and she got the job and she came back and told me like 2 weeks later. So whatever, I don't know. But as far as the healing goes, the little milagros are they're in the shapes of body parts. So if you like break your arm or something, you get a little arm milagro and then you take it to a shrine or put it near a religious object, say a prayer, and it's supposed to help you with healing. Now, a lot of that has to do with, I think, has to do with mental, the power of the mind and the ability to heal.
Hmm.
That's my theory. I don't know. I'm
Well,
I'm a
well.
pretty practical, pragmatic kind
Mhm.
of guy. So when people ascribe psychic powers to me and all of this stuff, it's hard for me to accept that.
Mhm.
But anyway,
Well, man, being right on predictions is sounds like it would be thrilling in a certain sort of way. I mean, if anyone has a gift or a knack or an unction or a thing, I feel like they should pursue that. Not say, I'm not the one. There's no such thing. I can't know. I think, if you've got a couple things right, yeah, you should pursue that and see what's at the end of that because I feel like different people are in tuned in a certain frequency of life that others aren't. And while we can't walk in their shoes, maybe we can learn from their frequency. What they're getting from those type of frequencies. But let me ask you about Indians have the dream catcher, and I know that you're big on and you're very knowledgeable in Mexico. Do they have a dream catcher type of apparatus?
not that I know of, but the I hate to say this about the dream catcher, but if you look up the history of that, it was a concoction that happened in the 70s or 80s, and I think it was actually invented by non-Native Americans, and then it just got picked up
Wow, look at
and
that.
spread across the country. I I've heard that before. Someone can verify that,
Hmm.
but um, yeah, there's nothing similar to that in
Hmm.
Mexico from what
Well, I
I
got a dream
what I
catcher.
know. I mean,
I got a dream catcher in 2008. Ended up catching a nightmare named Obama. So I burnt that. I burnt that thing, man. Get the hell away from me. I was catching the wrong kind of crap right there. All right. now, as you know, we got questions that come in, so we might start here and go there. But let's go down a rabbit hole somewhere for
Yeah, remember, no lottery numbers. If I
not
knew
for
the Powerball number, do
no.
you think I'd be sharing it with someone? Because then they'll have to split the loot with that person.
No, besides
So,
that, you promised to tell me after the show, so that nobody else is going to
yeah.
know. Um, Doug White says, "Does Oregon? Is there an Oregon charm?"
No.
Okay, all right. Oh, by the way, Grandma Jade says, or our moderator says she's cooking you some virtual chicken soup. And Robert, you know about Grandma because if you've been in the other chat that's on the website. I know normally you're in the YouTube chat, but in the website chat, that's where she resides virtually there. All right, and this is I might as well go here. This is one of the first questions. It came in before the show. I actually ranted about it a little bit, and I've got actually a list of your predictions, so I was kind of wanting to go through there. But Bader Ginsburg, notorious RBG. First of all, is she alive? And second, will she be alive this year, the rest of the year?
Yes, and no. She's not going to make it through this year. And I have a prediction who's going to replace her. I think she's going to be replaced by a Latina, a Mexican American from the Southwest somewhere. That's who's going to replace her. But she's not going to make it through the year. No.
I'm just wondering if, like I said, you may not have seen the Randy points, but I'm just wondering if we got like a weekend at Bernie's going on here.
Oh, I saw that. That was very clever.
Well, I mean, you know, somebody says that's ridiculous. Wait a minute. You can't, after 2018 or after Trump's election for sure, you can't say that's ridiculous. And I don't mean.
No, it's been done before. It's been done before. Kings, queens, whatever, throughout history. They've pretended that they've been alive. Mm-hmm. It's an old trick, yeah. And so it could be happening here. I saw something similar with Hillary as a cartoon like that, and it was funny. It was after 9/11 where she got all stiff and everything, and they had to throw her into the van like a ventriloquist dummy or a mannequin or whatever. Right. There were memes about that too, that it was weekend at Hillary's. And if you had looked, and somebody had shared this with me, if you had looked on the Wikipedia page for the movie Weekend at Bernie's, in the cast of characters on the bottom, because you can submit things to Wikipedia,
Yes.
On the cast of characters on the bottom, it said, starring Hillary Clinton as herself. And then Wikipedia removed it.
Oops.
And then it came back on again. It was up there a couple times. But yeah, that's a pretty funny meme. Yeah.
Now I got a couple little things here from floor worker, and I think he residing in the YouTube chat. First of all, he likes your haircut. But then he asked this question here: will Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez come out with a sex video this year?
No, but my prediction for her is that she's going to say on an interview program, and I put this down on my predictions for this year, she's going to say on an interview program that in the future she's going to run for president. And the interviewer you're going to see is going to have a hard time containing his or her laughter. But yeah, she's going to come on and say that she's going to run for president, but sorry, no lewd tapes or anything coming out on her.
It is fun watching her and the ridiculous things that she says. I mean, she's like a grade schooler, like a giggly little girl with a cell phone, and now she's in the halls of power. And I've been reading articles. The headlines read, "Democrats try to rein in Cortez," and she's in this big thing with Joe Lieberman says, "Oh, I sure hope she ain't the future of the Democrat Party," and she replied with a meme of some kind, said, "Who dis?" And now you have to be a young person that knows all about emojis and various Generation X talk to know what that means. But now James Wood says, the actor who has millions of followers himself in his own right, says, "Do not underestimate her." Now, believe it or not, Robert, I know you're right up on the news, but I understand she's talking about taxing the rich people at 70%, but she's got Democrats so scared, they're trying to out-tax. So now there's some Democrats that are considering running for president that are saying 90%. because they're thinking, hey, she's getting that, she's getting followers on Twitter when she says tax the rich. So they're going crazy with this obscene, ridiculous tax scheme that won't go anywhere. And if it did, it'd wreck the economy. But it
But
is
she's
fun
going to
watching.
regret that. She's going to regret that. If let's just say that it does go through, okay? She's going to regret that because you and I know, and everybody else knows that when you're in Congress, you enter as a poor person and you leave a multimillionaire. Now, in 4 years, after being paid off by lobbyists, getting this
Mm-hmm.
book deal and that book deal, and this made for TV Hallmark special movie about
Mm-hmm.
her life and all that stuff, she's in 4 years, she's going to be a millionaire. And then she's going to be saying, well, why are they taking away my money? I mean, she would,
Uh-huh.
I don't know. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is fun to watch. All right, so hey, we got a prediction in for 19 for the old Cortez stir. But anyway, when you do predictions, you're sort of macabre in a certain way. You like to deal with death. And of course,
Well,
we already did
earthquakes
start. We
and
started with Ginsburg, so
volcanoes and
hey,
all that stuff. Yeah. I'm sorry, what?
no, I mean speaking of death, we started out with Ginsburg. But what about celebrity deaths? What's going on? Is there something going to happen there?
Well, I usually come up with a list every year. Last year was bad for me. I didn't predict very accurately the celebrity deaths. Years in past years, I've been like 75 to 80% accurate. But it was weird what happened last year. I predicted the death of the Mormon president and prophet, Monson. President Monson, I said would die. And I put that prediction out there, and the next day he died. On January 2nd, he died. And I was like, oh my gosh. And people were saying, like, wow, you've never had a prediction come true that fast. But then everybody else on my predictions list for the death predictions, I'll admit it, okay? I'll admit when I'm wrong. Not a single other person died. And in previous years, like I said, it was 75 to 80% accurate.
Mm.
And this year I have a list too. So, and Olivia de Havilland and Kirk Douglas are not on the list.
Mm.
So,
Man, how old is
she's going
Kirk
to be
Douglas? He's got to be 90.
102 and he's going to be 101. So that was low hanging fruit, but it didn't happen. But
Mm-hmm.
some of the big people I predicted was Prince Philip. Well, for this year, 2019, Prince Philip, the consort of Queen Elizabeth II, I believe he will pass away this year.
Mm.
And then also, you saw my prediction. So you saw what I said in my last prediction. I believe that.
Are you going there? Are you going there right now? Save that
If
to the
you
end of the
want,
show. Don't
it's
say
up
it.
to you. It's your show. You can direct me any way you want. I'm
Save
here
that
as
for
your
the end of the
guest.
shows. But hey,
I do believe that this year.
I'm going.
Sorry,
I'm going to mute
everybody.
you. I'm going to mute you. Hey, I got one. I got one question though. I got one question.
Yes, sir.
Am I going to make it?
Yeah, you are. Sure. You and your wife will make it. Sure.
Thank you.
You won't get knocked off.
Wow, that was close.
However,
Oh,
do you really want me to say this? I mean, I felt really bad putting this out there, not believing that, the whole thing that people say, you put something out in the universe and then, you put the bad energy out there and then it'll manifest or whatever. Sorry, I mean, I don't believe in that sort of thing because I think if we were able to manifest bad things, then we would have had Y2K happen and we would have had the end of the world with the Maya calendar in 2012. There were billions of people who believed that those things were going to happen. Those things weren't manifested. So me as some little guy in, whatever, nobody knows who I am, I'm not going to manifest any of this stuff. I don't believe that. But if you want me to drop the bomb, I will on your cue.
look. Okay. Well, you already primed the audience, and they feel like they've already said they think I'm going to try to stop you from saying it. But hey, let's just get it out there. Let's hear this prediction.
Okay, I believe, and like I said, I was very reluctant to put this out there, not for these, reasons that I just talked about, but I was reluctant to put this out there because I didn't want to draw attention to myself. But I do believe that we will see the assassination of Trump this year, the assassination of the US president, unfortunately. And people then, I believe, will think that it was faked. And there may be truth to that. And I might sound like a crackpot or something by saying this, but you've had people on this show that are pretty far out, so I'm in good company if people think that I'm far
Man,
out.
I have the most upstanding people ever on this program. What are you saying?
Hey, they're upstanding, but they're kind of out there.
Okay.
I'll include myself in that.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh,
Hey.
okay. Well, maybe there's a couple of them that's been off. But I guarantee you, there are a whole lot of people that do what I do don't have these people on there. Say they're lucky to get them to hear them right here. Um, wow, the Trumpster, huh? Well, let me tell you
Well,
something.
and the reason, oh, let me say why I think this, because okay, a lot of my predictions, I believe, are based on what I think I'm able to read the script pretty well. And I think I'm a good observer, and I've had a lot of life experience. I mean, I was born in the 60s, so I'm over 50, and I've seen a lot of, stuff. So I'm using all of those things that all bundles into intuition. A lot of people say, oh, intuition is this mysterious thing, and it isn't. It's based on experience, it's based on education, it's based on observation, and that's what I think is the foundation of intuition. Because then all of these things you put together, and then it almost seems like it's something coming naturally out of you, but it really isn't.
Mm-hmm.
It's all of these things working together in your subconscious mind. So unconsciously you'll come up with things, and then you'll say, well, how did I know that, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I think deja vu comes from that same place too. Deja vu, where you think you've seen or experienced something before.
Mm-hmm.
I think your mind is calculating a million different outcomes all at once based on all of these inputs and previous inputs. And then you see a black cat walking across your path and you go, whoa. I think that comes from a movie somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And that you and I think it's just your mind calculating things on a subconscious level. And the same with the intuition. If you have all of these inputs,
Mm-hmm.
life experience, education, and keen observation, I think you can come up with this. To tie this into Trump,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's time. And I hate to say that. This has gone on for too long. And I think it's part of this whole script. And I believe, not that we're living in some hologram or synthetic reality, but I think a lot of what we are seeing in our lives, a lot of what we're seeing is staged. And if you can recognize that a lot of this stuff is staged, then you can predict what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Or you can understand it as it's unfolding, at least, if you can't predict it.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of my predictions, like I said, are based on the ability to read the script. Like, you can get a feeling, oh, there hasn't been a school shooting in a while, and then one happens.
Right.
Or there hasn't been this happen in a while, okay, then one happens. And what does that mean? I think we live in a kind of scripted reality where the people who are above us, who we can't see, who are in control or whatever, are calling the shots. I don't know.
Well,
I could be wrong.
also,
So if
also
Trump
those.
doesn't get shot or whatever, then you can come back and, give me an electronic smack in the face and say, Robert, you were wrong. And I would be happy to admit it. I'm happy to admit when I'm wrong, whenever that happens. So,
A
yeah.
lot of those events are narrative changers. Something's going on, and they want our attention to be instantly diverted to something else, and that's kind of kind of like a wag the dog type of thing. But
Sure.
if people don't believe that things are scripted, all you got to do is look at the 2016. Before the election occurred, the debates between Clinton and Trump, Hillary was given the questions. And you
Sure.
think somebody should be fired for that? How could that even be a thing to be allowed? You talk about scripted, and then you got Jim Acosta go down to the southern border, doing videos in front of a fence. That's scripted. I mean, everything like that. You could just tell And I use Yahoo as a homepage only because I ended up with Yahoo Mail for whatever known reason. But 100% of every single Trump article is 100% negative.
Yeah.
100%. And his family is 100% negative. Melania, 100% negative. I said, how can this be when you have Michael Obama getting on the cover of Vogue and being rated as beauty
Oh,
queen?
she's
And just,
everywhere.
she's everywhere.
Yeah.
They want her to be president. Just these glowing things just keep coming out. It's like, wait a minute, man.
It's like,
How can
who
this
is
be?
she?
But so things are scripted, like you said. Now, as far
Yeah,
as
and you know what? Back to what you were saying about Hillary and those questions. If that hadn't been leaked by somebody, we'd never know that. Not even now.
right,
We would think, oh, well, she was really on top of things. And like she said, when she was asked, where have you been? You fell off the face of the earth for 3 days. And then she
right.
came back and said, well, it's good to be prepared. And then everybody clapped. And it was like,
Right.
good to be prepared. You have your competitor who's doing 2 or 3 cities a day, these big, huge rallies, and then she's, nowhere to be found. Just like on election night, where the hell was she?
Right, you're right. If it wasn't leaked, we wouldn't know about it. And here's the thing about the whole WikiLeaks thing is there's no concern whatsoever in there that John Podesta has got kiddie porn and pedophile drawings, or that Aberdeen is talking to Hillary and Hillary's talking to the FBI, and you got all this stuff going on, and Loretta Lynch and James Comey. That's not the issue. The issue is who leaked it. Not that the crimes that the email shows are happening. There's nothing about the crimes. Hey, we're not concerned about the crimes. Who leaked it? Who leaked it? Wait a minute, man. It doesn't matter who leaked it. The evidence is right there. Of course, that whole thing was rigged, and it goes back to your word, scripted. And I think I really resist the fact that we live in a culture that scripts things for us. I can't stand that. I resent that, and I can read it in the headlines.
Well, you know what? Your life isn't scripted. Mine isn't. It's the stuff that's above us. I mean, and if you can detach yourself from that, then you really don't have anything to. If you detach yourself and see that it is scripted and know that, you really can't influence what happens, in the big picture, then you'll feel a lot less anxious, or, a lot of people get really depressed and anxious about the situation in the world. And I don't know. There's really not much we can do.
Okay,
But
are you saying
I just find out I have to sit back and laugh a lot of times because some of these events and things are so poorly done. And then the aftermath, all you got to think of is some skinny teenage kid in Florida at an anti-gun rally doing a grumpy cat grin and putting his
grumpy cat
putting
grin?
his arm in the hand like he's some bad guy or whatever. I mean, see, you laughed.
Yeah.
It's funny. You think about it, it's funny.
Hoagie or Mogi or
a lot
Dogie,
of these events and stuff, and it is just you got to laugh at it because there's really not much you can do. People are all serious. What about Hillary's health? And all of this stuff. Whatever.
Dreamwalker wants to know: is Hillary Clinton a clone?
Well, people have been saying that. How are you going to tell? Really? I don't know. Obama has been accused of being a clone, but a clone of Akhenaten, the ancient Egyptian ruler. And
Looks
maybe
just like
you've
him.
heard of that before. No, but go look. Freeman Fly, he was a guest on your show, and he has come up with a theory that Obama is a clone of the Egyptian pharaoh Akhenaten, and that's why he doesn't have a legitimate birth certificate, because he was cloned. And it's an interesting, not that I say I believe in it, but we have to always put everything on the table and examine everything. I mean, if we're going to be really open-minded, then we have to look at a theory like that. And he looks like him. That's the funny part of it. And a lot of the behaviors of Akhenaten and what he did or whatever, Obama really follows that. And if you, Freeman Fly makes a really good case. Anybody can look that up. If you look Freeman Fly and Obama clone, then you'll get into this whole thing. But yeah, so I don't know. It's interesting.
All right, we got a fast blast question from Mr. Peanut. It says, "Will gold and silver prices soar in 2019?"
No, and the
Okay.
dollar won't crash either. So
Oh, come on. Oh, by the way, I saw something come on Facebook feed. I don't know, some event, and somebody said, "Hey, I've been warning you forever." Generally, talking to everybody, I was thinking, every news event, somebody says, "I've been warning you forever," and it just flies through the. For instance, I could say the market's going to crash, and I could say I've been saying it forever. If I just wait, it will happen. It'll crash and it'll
yeah.
come back. I don't know. But now, Mark Taylor, the firefighter prediction that Trump would become the president, also predicted massive prosperity. And of course, now the stock market took a big nosedive the other day, and people immediately said, "Well, he's a fraud right there. Look." Then a couple of days later, the stock market come back up. So what do you got to do? Say, well, maybe he's telling the truth. So if you go by that, you're going to go boom, 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 just like that.
Oh, and by the way, I predicted Trump would become president too, and I predicted that on December 31st, 2015.
Wait a
And
minute,
people said you were crazy because he was then up against about 12 other people who were vying for the nomination. And I was like, he's going to be president. And I should have bet in Las Vegas. They were giving like 1,000 to 1 odds or something. Imagine if I had plopped down $1,000 on a bet. But I was sure about that. Once again, reading the script, and so yeah, I figured he would win, and he did. And that's when people were like, "Wow, how did you do this?"
There
But
is on the dark web something going around the internet purported to be a video on Anthony Weiner's laptop that shows supposedly Huma Abedin and Hillary Clinton slicing a young girl's face off and then wearing it as a mask to get a certain drug out of there. Is
the
that
adrenaline drug, yeah.
the adrenaline drug? So that just made up. Or
Well,
do you think
you
that
know
people,
what?
if
I
not
mean,
them, would somebody else be doing that?
okay. There have been a lot of stories, a lot of rumors, and then a lot of people who have actually come out as witnesses saying that a lot of these elites are into drinking blood and sacrifices and satanic rituals and whatever to in an attempt to either be younger or to have some sort of power,
Mm-hmm.
and they believe, whether or not it's true, whether you can invoke entities or whatever by doing that, I don't know. But I do believe that some of these people who are over us do believe in it,
Mm-hmm.
so, and they'll go through with it. We saw spirit cooking.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a conspiracy theory. That was on the mainstream news. So
Mm-hmm.
what else? What else is going on? We don't know, but there have been rumors forever saying that the blood of children or whatever, a lot of these children who go missing or who are trafficked become used in ritual sacrifices and things like that. I don't know. I'm not there, but there's been a lot of talk about that. So
Mm-hmm.
you never know.
Um, yeah, and I think we talked about in the last show when you was on here, going back to the Aztecs. They try to eat they eat the heart or the brain of their enemies to try to internalize their knowledge of warfare skills. And even with animals, people have been trying to gain the powers of animals the same way.
Yeah. So in a lot of ancient cultures, you see that sort of thing happening. Even eating part of your ancestors to give you power too. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's
Well,
something that's been going on for a long time. But we're civilized now. That
mm-hmm.
doesn't happen now. It most likely does,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know to what extent
Okay.
or who's doing it.
All right. Andrew Jasso out of YouTube says, "What do you think about Q?"
It's fake. It's a psyop.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably backed by the CIA. Yeah, I wouldn't believe a damn thing that Q
Now,
person
yeah,
or group says. It's meant to keep us, throw us off the track.
yeah. That's the group that's been saying there's 50,000 indictments loaded and ready to go, right?
Not going to happen. No, yeah. I mean it's there to. I think a lot of these psychological operations like this are to try to either throw us off the track or to watch the reaction and to gauge the reaction. That's probably even scarier than the whole diverting us from looking at the world, more real way, I guess.
All right. For those of you just joining us, we have on our Skype line Robert Bitto, and we're talking about 2019 predictions and other topics of interest in the news. Robert, David Burnell from YouTube says, what do you know about the planned financial reset gold-backed denomination?
I don't think it's going to happen. There's any sort of crash or reset or whatever. How does that benefit anybody? Everybody is so tied to the dollar. I've heard for years and years and years, oh, well, the Chinese are going to cash out all of their bonds and the whole financial system is going to collapse and America's going to turn into a third world country. Well, maybe the intent is to turn America into a third world country, but they don't need to do that. They don't need to crash the dollar in order to do that.
No.
Look at my lovely state of California. It's headed down the tubes, and they didn't have to crash the dollar for that. And I think if they do crash the dollar, then the elites are hurting themselves, and other elites throughout the world get left holding the bag. So I think the dollar is going to be stable for quite some time.
Okay.
I don't.
All right. So you live in Cali. Is
The
it
belly
true?
of the beast.
Is it true that there are cities out there that are lined with poop?
What the heck? What can I say? I saw that 2 days ago. I mean, in my own neighborhood, the homeless situation here is terrible. And you know what? I was reading that city of San Diego. I live in San Diego. So the city of San Diego in their budget has like $30 million a year just to go to homeless services. And they just recently, it was just announced like 2 days ago that they bought some indoor skydiving place that went under, because they have those here. I don't know if they have them in Indiana, but they're big, huge buildings where you can go skydiving without having to go up in a plane. Indoor skydiving. But anyway, they took this building for an indoor skydiving place and they're going to turn it into this multi-million-dollar homeless shelter. The thing is, a lot of these people, and I see it every day, I know a lot about the homeless just like I know a lot about Mexico and the border because I experience it. And a lot of these people who are living on the street, it's a choice because there's so much money out here. California is very liberal, very leftist, very into the whole social programs and all of this stuff. There's a lot of money that's being poured into social services for the homeless, and the homeless people know about it. And some of them take advantage of it enough to still be living on the street and have their iPhone and, whatever else, other benefits they have. But, there's a lot of money, too much money into the problem. And Southern California has a big problem with the homeless because the weather is fantastic. Weather's fantastic. You don't have to worry about freezing at night or like in Phoenix. I remember when I lived there, there were 12 homeless people who died in July because the temperatures were over 115 degrees. So here it's perpetually 72 degrees. Sorry for anybody out there who's buried in snow right now.
We have about 8 inches of snow right here in Indianapolis there. Thanks so much for that.
Yeah, well, and a lot of these, some mayors
we don't have,
and
but
other,
we don't have
and
poop
other
on the
parts,
streets, though.
What? I'm sorry?
We might have snow, but we don't have poop.
Yeah, because a lot. What I was going to say is some mayors in cities throughout the United States have been giving homeless people bus tickets to come here. So, they were doing that.
How big a deal? I'm not sure how close you are, but officers seeing that was murdered by illegal immigrant. Or how close you are to that area where that happened?
I'm not sure exactly where that happened. That happened in Southern California, but I don't think
California,
it was in San Diego County.
Newsom, California, is that a town? Is that a place?
It's not near me.
Okay.
It could be in Orange County.
How was it?
I think it might be in Orange County.
How was it reported out there? Did it say an unknown assailant of some kind? disgruntled employee? Because out here
You
we're
know
seeing.
what? There's not a lot of that in the news. I haven't seen much of it in the news. They've really downplayed it. I think President Trump has really brought it, up to the forefront. But
Mhm.
local news and stuff, I really haven't seen much about
Yeah.
him.
Well,
You know,
we'll ask people out there that watch the program, if you have poop in your city streets, just drop a yes or a no in one of the chats. All right, we have this question all the way from Australia. Peter from Australia, you've seen him in the chat. Did you see the prediction about Trump in a dream, or is it more of a hunch that you have? How do you make these predictions? And I think he really kind of explained that.
well, yeah, I can go over it. It's a hunch, I guess. What's a hunch? Intuition. Intuition, like I said, is based on knowledge, experience, education, and the ability to read the script.
Mm-hmm.
So for the Trump thing, I think this has gone on too long. And what do I mean by this? You know, his tweets and all this stuff and riling up all these people and people going insane and everything. You and I have never seen this sort of thing ever happen before. So what I think needs to happen is this sort of releasing of the steam, and that will come with an assassination, real or faked. I'm inclined to think that it could be faked, and he could be living. He's in his 70s. He's
Mm-hmm.
73. He could be living on an island for the rest of his life. But I believe that then Mike Pence will come in and he's a pretty strong guy, I think. Mike Pence is a really upstanding,
He's
alpha
definitely
male
grounded.
type.
Grounded is the
I'm
word
sorry?
I'd use. Grounded is the word I would use. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're right about that. I mean, he's just, he old fashioned American, John Wayne type, whatever. He's gonna come in and he's going to be the guy to save the day. And he's going to also, I think, show compassion and finesse in his transition. But there are going to be a lot of people who are going to be incredibly afraid of him.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's what's going to happen. But
the the
yeah,
the event,
we'll see.
the major event that you event. I'll just leave it at that. You predicted earlier. I would say if anybody doubts that could happen, I got two words: Seth Rich. Enough said. And if you don't know what that means, then you're not in tune with reality, and your life might
It's a
be
long
scripted as well.
list.
Hey,
Yeah,
by the
he's
way,
on a long.
speaking of scripted, I was going to say, Robert. So what you're saying is, though these things they try to script our life for us, we're the ones that can write the next chapter in our own lives.
Sure. I mean, yeah, you can. I mean, locally, your family, your kids, your church, your community, or whatever, the school your kids go to, or whatever, you can be involved and have your own little world, and your own little world connected with other people in your neighborhood and your city and stuff. And all of this junk that's going on out there, you know, it's so far removed from you.
Mm-hmm.
I I know what's going on because I feel like I'm on the outside looking in, and the stuff that happens with Hillary, whatever. By the way, I predicted that she would have an accident in 2018 and break her arm, and she did when she was in India on her book signing trip.
Wow.
But anyway,
All
okay.
right.
But anyway, so all that stuff, like I said, I'm kind of like in my own little world looking in on that. And you can do that too. I mean, anybody, but look around what's close to you. Like I said, your kids, the PTA, even your local city council meetings. Well, maybe that's a little bit too far out into the other, but your elderly next door neighbor, cook them some dinner, invite them over, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
just I'd say concentrate on your own little world. And then when you
Mm-hmm.
see the skinny teenage boy with a grumpy cat grin, then yeah, there you go. You just got to laugh and say that it
Uh,
doesn't have anything to do with me.
yeah. Um, all right. Here's a question from Scotty Good out of the YouTube chat. Will Hillary be brought to court or thrown into prison like they say?
No way.
Now, I would agree.
No
I would
chance
predict
in
that would
hell.
not going to happen now.
What?
I would also predict that would not happen. Using my powers now, my predictive powers.
Yeah, see, you got it too. You have the gift.
Yeah. Well, now I did. I don't know if you probably heard me in Randy Points, but I did predict that her colostomy bag's going to break on stage, and it's going to be a nasty mess. So be watching for that in 2019, people. And can you imagine the smell though? But anyway, all right. So we've got a lot of predictions going on. Is uh, is there going to be a world war in 2019?
No, no,
No.
it doesn't serve anybody any good. I mean, a world war,
Would you?
Beijing gets turned to dust or whatever. How does that serve anybody?
Well,
There's
what about this? What
the
about?
pe-
Go ahead. Well,
the
people are
people who
saying.
are in control. The people who are in control of this are not. How do they benefit from a vaporized New York or vaporized London? It's not going to happen.
Well, there's an answer to that that's been coming out recently, and that is saying that the Chinese have already threatened here recently. So this isn't uh, hyperbole. Sorry. Learned that from the wife. She says, "Get your words right, Daniel." So I was just, man, whew, I'm glad I have her. But anyway, that the neutron bomb will drop and it won't damage any building, just wipe out the humanoids, and they'll come flying in here. What about that?
I don't think it's going. I mean, that's too big of a disruption. It does not benefit anybody. You have to think about the people who are in charge of this world, the 20 wealthiest families or whatever, whoever is above us and above the above on earth. Okay, I'm not talking celestial or
Oh,
anything.
yes, you are. But go ahead.
Um,
No, you're not.
those people do not benefit from a scenario like that. China is not going to invade. There's not going to be some bomb that eliminates all the people or whatever. It's not, that doesn't benefit anyone. And
Ten
so it's not going to happen.
10 years ago, all the hype was there's 300,000 Chinese amassed at the southern border. Did you ever hear this? Hear that kind of thing? It went on. It went like wildfire. I don't know. Even before the internet, it seems to me that was going on. There's 300,000 Chinese coming up through there. So I was thinking, man, come on. You know, you're not going to have Chinese, but you might have somebody from Bangladesh coming up through there. But all right, here's a question for you, and I kind of alluded to it in my Facebook notice of this upcoming interview. Is there going to be contact or disclosure in 2019?
Nope, not going to happen. Because I don't believe that the alien thing is real. I believe that is a script. That's part of the script. I don't believe in this stuff. And what it is, I can't tell you what it is, but I think a lot of this is psychological operations by the government. And there will be no disclosure. That's the thing that they're stringing us along with, maybe this is going to happen, and this, so like a mission to Mars, it's never going to happen. They keep on stringing us along. Oh, Elon Musk is the guy that's going to do it. And I predicted that this year, 2019, Elon Musk will announce a mission to Mars that will happen 10 years from now.
Well, hopefully
And he'll start doing astronaut selection and all of that stuff. But that's just a bunch of bunk too.
Well,
So
hopefully Elon Musk won't be high the next time he does an interview like the last time. But
he was off the script that time.
all
See,
right.
they're humans and they can mess up too.
Yeah.
Just like the guy from Blink 182. God, I should know that. He lives here, and I think I met him once actually. Tom DeLonge. He went on Joe Rogan and he became a little unhinged. And he was supposed to be the face of the UFO disclosure movement, but he blew it because he's human. And a lot of these people say, oh, these fake events and things like this, they can't be that poorly done. And I say, yes, they can be because they're done by humans. And humans will mess up. Elon Musk, looking high or whatever, he's a human. So it's going to happen.
I mean, when I look at him, he looks more like a cyborg, really. And I don't know if this is a joke or facetious or what, but is there something? Are you on a snake diet, or somebody wants to know something about a snake diet? Is that
Who said that?
Raul Sanchez out of the live chat?
Well, yes, sir, I am. It's actually I'm on day 18. I don't know if I look any different to anybody, but I stopped. The snake diet. Well, snake diet. It's really all you do. And here we can have it right here.
Wow.
You mix 1 liter of water with 1 teaspoon of sodium chloride and 1 teaspoon of potassium chloride and a little bit of baking soda, and that's all you have all day.
Hmm.
Okay. You think that's impossible?
So,
day 18 and I've lost 27 pounds.
wow,
And
Raul, get on that diet. Wow, that is an incredible weight loss. I'm on something called the martini diet.
hey, whatever works.
But anyway,
But
so
I've done
what
this
why they call it
before. It's
why they call it snake?
because it was that was invented by some guy in Edmonton, Alberta. He's this fitness trainer. He's almost 40 years old and he's had like 20 years experience training people for weight loss. And he came up with there's always been fasting. You can go back to the Bible and um, biblical patriarchs or whatever have fasted. And it's a great tool for healing.
Hmm.
And I've healed a lot of things, some ailments I didn't even know I had in the past fast that I did.
Hmm.
The past fast that I did in October was 15 days. Try 15 days of no calories. Okay. This isn't a juice fast. You don't get to drink, thick smoothies or whatever. It's just salt water. And that's what you try doing that and it's very effective. And they call it the snake diet because this guy in Canada, he was saying you should eat like a snake and like eat a whole bunch in one sitting and then not eat for a few days.
Oh.
And that's just some shtick, some label that he
Yeah.
put on this. But it's a really simple diet. It's not really a diet, it's a fast. You just don't eat. So imagine right now, sitting here talking to you, I haven't had anything to eat since Christmas. All I've been drinking is this. And after the third day, you're hungry for the first 2.5 days. And then after the third day, then your body flicks a switch. And your body says, okay, we're not getting any food. We're not getting any calories from food. So the switch that gets flipped is, okay, we're going to eat the perfect food now, your body fat. What's your body fat? Your body fat is there. It's stored calories and nutrients, and it's there for times of famine. And for hundreds of thousands of years, we've lived like this, living off our fat stores when we couldn't kill the mammoth or whatever, or when the harvest went bad, you had fat on your body, you eat your fat. And so when you drink the salt water, and the reason why you do salt water is to keep your electrolytes up. So potassium chloride and sodium chloride with a little bit of baking soda so it's easier on your kidneys. So you, right now I'm eating my fat and I'm going to break this fast at day 20. And by that time, I will have lost over 30 pounds
Hmm.
since Christmas. So these these diet places like Jenny Craig and Weight Watchers, they say you can lose 15 pounds in 3 months. 15 pounds in 3 months. Come on, you can do it in 10 days if you just drink the water. And
Hmm.
that guy in Canada calls it snake juice, but
Oh.
it's just
Well, see, originally
that's
I thought Snake Plissken invented that diet, but anyway, no. When you first come on, I thought, man, you're looking trimmer, man. I didn't know if it was a haircut or what. I didn't know what it
right.
was.
Haircut. Yeah, right. I don't think I could get any
Who,
closer
who,
with a
who knew? Who
razor.
knew we're gonna have a trim down show on the edge, man. So that's great. That's good news. I'm gonna have to look into
Yeah, and
that.
you feel really good. Like I said, after the third day, one thing I forgot to say, when that switch gets flipped, you stop being hungry. Right now I'm sitting here and I haven't had food in me for 18 days. You'd think I'm starving, I'd be falling over, whatever. But after the third day, the hunger shuts down because your body says, okay, you're not going to get any food. So we're just going to flick the switch and eat the food that's on your body. Another thing that happens is surprisingly, your energy goes up and your alertness goes up because I think that's an evolutionary response. I think I shouldn't say evolutionary, it's a natural response because think about it. You haven't had food for 3 days. You're going to be on alert, like, there's a mouse, or something like that. And
Wow.
then after the 3 days, your hunger ceases, like I said, and your energy is completely even because your body is taking the fat off of your own body at the exact amount that it needs. Now imagine when you're eating. You have Cookie Crisp cereal for breakfast, then at lunch you have Subway with extra dressing, and then at night you have the steak, potatoes, and chocolate cake. So
Yeah.
when you're eating those things, imagine your sugar levels go up and down, and your body is saying, okay, what do I do with the Cookie Crisp cereal? Okay, this has to go here and this has to go there. And then you have the big Subway sandwich, and then you feel bloated, and your body is saying, where does this have to go? And you feel like swings in energy. But I don't feel swings in energy right now, even after 18 days of no food, because your body knows exactly what it needs from your fat stores and it pulls it, and you have even energy throughout the day, and it's a little bit elevated because you still are on the alert for food. So
Mm.
I would suggest anybody who is overweight, and that's most of America,
Oops.
that you should be trying this. And you can't be too old for this. Like I said, I'm in my 50s, so I can do this. You don't have to be some young kid.
Mm.
So
Okay. Well, that's good information
sorry,
there. I'm definitely going to be looking into it myself.
that was a big
I
tangent.
could, I
So
could use it.
sorry I kept
I could use a
talking.
little trim down there. But from Georgia, question: what's going to happen from the Mueller probe, FBI and James Comey?
Nothing.
So, I mean, is he going to come out with a report? I don't know if that's the question, but is there going to be a report that's going to undo Trump?
No. That's not how he's going to go down. It has to be more dramatic than this. He's not going to be impeached. It has to be more dramatic. And that's why
They
I
must
made the
know they can't
prediction about
impeach
the
him.
assassination.
And by
What?
the way, I don't know if you saw in the last couple of days, the New York Times report showed there was another Trump investigation when he fired Comey. They a group of unelected bureaucrats got together and decided they were going to investigate Trump for possible taking orders from Russia to fire Comey. It's just crazy stuff.
The Russia thing is still going on. I mean, I hate to sound like a millennial or something, but oh, that's so 2016. I mean, why are people even still talking about that? I mean, that was a joke at the beginning, I thought. I thought it was pretty laughable. People still are taking that seriously even now.
Mm-hmm. Oh, hasn't it been that when whatever system is in control, that an unusual death of some kind? I mean, take Anthony Scalia. He murders himself with a pillow or something. I don't know how that all went down, but I mean, and then there was, I mean, the list of people that have died, particularly more in the Obama administration era with Hillary Clinton in control of various parts. But people putting bags on their own head and choking themselves to death or falling out of
Or
a plane.
a shotgun blast to the back of the head
Right,
or something.
think about all those. There's a big long list of this type of activity. Do you think that they gather around and say, "Hey, you know what? I got this. This is going to be awesome." Okay, he's going to come home, touch the doorknob, but it's going to actually be wired to something and make it look like he electrocuted himself with a doorknob. And his hand will be stuck there, and they'll get a big light. You know what I'm saying? Do you think they make up creative ways to outdo each other to murder somebody, make it look like a suicide?
Oh, I think so. Yeah, why not? I mean, they're human too, like I said, and they get entertained, and they might be entertained in a more macabre way
Mm.
because, imagine you have billions and billions of dollars and all this power or whatever. You could do anything you wanted. So
By the way, Scalia evidently did not get an autopsy. Now, here's a Supreme Court Justice of the United States. Are you kidding?
I didn't know that. Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of Ron Brown way back in the day, in the Hillary days, when he was, I don't know, connected to Hillary in some form or fashion. But he was quoted as saying, if I go down, he had 75 indictments against him. He said, if I go down, everybody's going down with me. Well, the next week he went on a plane tour in Croatia somewhere, and the plane crashed and killed everybody, but his body was found 50 feet away sitting up against a rock, and he had a perfectly round hole in his head. And it was a bullet hole, and they never performed an autopsy on him. It's like, are you kidding? So this goes back, and Vince Foster, here's a guy that killed himself with 3 shotguns to the blast to the head. You wonder how many times he's shooting himself I guess he's not dead. He just keeps shooting. I don't know. How many
That's
times he got shooting?
ridiculous. I'm
One
sorry,
bullet.
it's ridiculous.
Maybe they're
And
clones and
people, I mean, I
hard to
have to
kill.
sit back and say, people really believe in this stuff?
Hmm.
I mean, it's unbelievable to me how people can fall for some of these things that happen,
Mm.
but they do. And I think these these people who are doing this, the powers that be or the powers that want to be, I've heard someone say that before. The people who are in control, um, I don't. Where was I going with this? Sorry.
Hell,
um,
I don't know. I don't even know where I'm going. What are you talking about?
I don't. I don't think that they feel the need not to be sloppy. They can do whatever they want and however they want.
Hmm.
And they think that people that this is what I was getting at. People are going to believe it anyway, so they don't have to be extra careful. But that has kind of been um, put to the test with the collective mind of the internet, because within 10 minutes of something happening, it can be debunked if it's false.
Hmm.
Because something will pop up on the internet, then someone will chime in, oh, this politician was grabbed some young girl in first class in 1973. Then a retired stewardess will chime in and said, no, I worked on that airline. I worked on that airplane and I was a first class stewardess. And you couldn't grab the person next to you because there were 2 feet in between the seats. Things will just pop up and then get debunked very quickly
Mm.
by the collective mind or all these other people coming together, collective mind of the internet.
Hmm. Or
So it's harder to pull off this stuff now,
okay.
I think.
All right. Now somebody's requesting a fashion prediction for 2019. Curious, the live chat says, "Will sagging pants and skinny jeans go away in 2019?"
Oh, I don't see how they would be. They've been popular for a while, so I think they'll continue to
Hmm.
be popular. Yeah,
Well, I mean, I have a
skinny jeans especially.
um, will Michelle come out?
I don't know what's going on with her because she's getting okay. Here's an example of reading the script.
Okay.
Why is she on the cover of Good Housekeeping and People and all of this stuff and Time and
Vogue.
why is she doing that? They're setting her up for something. They're putting her in your face for a reason. So I would say watch out for that.
Hmm. Let's see what other question we have here. Uh, well, from Floor Worker, this is a follow up to your earlier prediction, the big one. If there is an assassination, will there be a civil war following?
No, it doesn't serve anybody. Civil war in the United States is not going to happen. And like I said, Pence will come in, and I look at Mike Pence. Like I said, he's a very strong like I said, grounded. That's a good that's a good adjective. He's a grounded, all American boy type of guy. He's going to come in and save the day and stabilize everything while different things become enacted. It will be a cover for a lot of things that are going to come. And I think after this, America won't be the same. There will be no need for civil war. Like people talk always about how the new world order is, we're going to put us all in slave camps and all this stuff. We kind of already are. They're doing that. They're accomplishing that goal without firing a shot.
Mm-hmm.
Really.
Yeah. Who's going to host the Oscars?
I don't know. I did come up with an Oscar list that I can't remember off the top of my head. And the last time I predicted oh, you have it. Uh-oh. You're
Let's
gonna
see
hold
here.
me to
Let
this.
me help you.
Okay.
Drake will be a Grammy of the album, Grammy for the album of the year. Oscar predictions. Best Picture: A Star Is Born.
Yeah, it speaks
Is
to all the
Wait a
liberal
minute. Is that?
things.
I thought
I
that
was
that was
I
like
was
50 years ago.
debating on whether I should do The Star Is Born or Bohemian Rhapsody. And if I could change it, I would probably put either or, because the Bohemian Rhapsody speaks to the LGBTQ or whatever, and there's a lot of nostalgia for the singer who died of AIDS
Mm-hmm.
and all that stuff. That goes over well with the
Mm-hmm.
Oscars. The Star is Born, and I put the actor for who played Freddie Mercury, he's going to get the best actor award.
Yeah.
But A Star is Born, I figured there's a lot
Mm-hmm.
of nostalgia, in liberal Hollywood
Yeah.
that may beat that. And then Lady Gaga will be the best actress because she was in that. And the best director will be Spike Lee. Why? Because he's been passed over for so many years. He's claimed racism, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Now's his time. Just like I predicted Leonardo DiCaprio 2 years ago, I said my only Oscar prediction. I just made one Oscar prediction that year. I said Leonardo DiCaprio will win Best Actor for Revenant. And what happened? He won. Why? Because he was nominated and nominated and nominated. It was just his time. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Uh, Best foreign film, uh, Kazakhstan.
Kazakhstan. It's from
Kazakhstan.
Kazakhstan, and it's about a single mom and struggling poverty and all of this stuff.
Oh
That'll
boy.
win for sure.
Yeah. All right. And she's a Muslim, right? And the mean old
Yeah,
Christians are mean old Christians, right? All right. Hey, boy, speaking of
exactly.
that, what do you think about what do you think about these two Muslim ladies that are now congresswomen?
It's
Uh,
part of the theater, and
yeah,
look, they're opposing
Mosquito.
Trump. I mean, they can't have a Muslim who's a Republican go in there and say, I support Trump. No, that goes against the narrative.
Mm-hmm.
The narrative is Trump is anti-Muslim. He's anti-everybody except for white people or whatever, which is garbage. I can prove that. You can prove that just by looking at him as a businessman. I mean, if you're a businessman in New York, how in the hell can you be anti Semitic like some people have said that he is? There is no way. You'd be run out of that town so fast if you said, I hate
Uh-huh.
Jews or whatever, that people are saying, oh, Bannon was. Part of his inner circle. It just shows how anti Semitic he is. No, he never would have survived in New York. And as a businessman, I mean, I own a business. I've owned a business for 20 years. I've had many, many employees come in and out of my door. I've hired I've hired Latinos, I've hired lesbian, gay, older than me, woman 20 years older than me. I've hired teenagers. I've run the gamut. And why have I done that? Because I've hired the best people because I'm concerned about money.
Mm-hmm.
And I was completely colorblind, gender blind, sexual preference blind, whatever. I wanted the best people.
Right.
And Trump, throughout his career as a businessman, you cannot operate a business
Mm-hmm.
and pick and choose what color, what religion. If it's a black lesbian in a wheelchair who's the best for the job, Trump's going to hire that person. There's no discrimination when you're talking about the bottom line. And people who say he's racist, no, he's very, very inclusive, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. And so there's the narrative is that he hates women, he hates people of color. That's expanded beyond black people.
Mm-hmm.
20 years ago, black people were the only. So he hates Muslims. So to continue this narrative, you have two Muslims who are now high up in the government, and one of them is actually swearing. And I mean, I couldn't believe that when I saw that.
No, yeah, there's so many. There's so much crap that's being said about him. It's not true. There's a guy that just got out of jail under his new agreement to help African Americans get out of jail if they take classes and do various things. It's like, wait a minute, he's done for a lot of folks. And the unemployment rate is one of them. He's done more for African Americans than any president, including Obama, ever. And this racism stuff. So you just can't believe what they say when they're talking like that. I mean, I gotta
And
let
and
me
you
show
know
you
what? I
something.
can't believe that it's gone on for so long.
Take a look
But
at.
it's fueled by the media, but
Uh-huh.
to me it's unbelievable. And
Yeah.
when the argument that I just made from a business owner standpoint, as a business owner
Hmm.
and talking about hiring, you hire the best people no matter what, and you're inclusive because you have to be inclusive, and you work with different people or whatever, and
Hmm.
then you realize, hey, there's no, people to people, all barriers break down.
Hmm.
And I've tried to reason with people on this and tell people, hey, Trump isn't a racist or a sexist or whatever for those reasons that I just mentioned.
Hmm.
And for some reason,
Robert,
I just hit a barrier with a lot of
Robert,
people.
do you see this image?
Yeah, yeah, that's Rosa Parks.
Yeah,
And then Muhammad Ali.
that's right. That is Donald Trump with Rosa Parks and Muhammad Ali, and the gold emblem he has there is for his work to improve the lives of African Americans and minorities in his neighborhood. Obama never stood beside Rosa Parks ever. And here Donald Trump is with Muhammad Ali, a Muslim, and Rosa Parks, civil rights icon. There's no explaining this to the liberals because they can't. None of their people have a picture that even remotely comes close to this as far as somebody in power. Because most of them, as you know, the Democratic Party really came from they invented the Ku Klux Klan, the Jim Crow laws. They fought against the North to keep slavery alive. I mean, all the negative stuff came from that party, and really, I just call them Decepticons, man. So
Well,
that
okay,
racist thing don't fly.
I want to ask you this, and maybe people in the chat. Okay, what I explained, when you come up against somebody who really hates Trump, for example, and then you show that picture, or you bring the argument that I brought, that you have to be inclusive, and then once you become inclusive, then all barriers break down. When you're in business, it's all about money. It doesn't matter,
Hmm.
and like I said, all barriers break down. But when we bring this stuff up, show that picture or make the argument that I made to these people, and then you hit a brick wall, why? That's what I want to know. Why? Why? I mean, and that's a question that I've been asking for a long time, because when I have a belief or when I have an idea that's stuck in my head, and then somebody comes to me with evidence against that, I thank them. I say, thank you for correcting me. And I do that on my podcast
Hmm.
all the time, on my YouTube channel.
Hmm.
I might pronounce a Spanish or a native name wrong, or I might get some little fact wrong. I pin the comment to the top because I say, thank you for giving me the courtesy of correcting me. But I don't understand how people can, when they're faced with this information, like the picture of my argument, how it just hits a wall. I
Hmm.
don't get it.
Right. It's like their common sense. Their just breaks down the partisanship. As far as I can tell, they're trained. They're trained to respond negatively and irrationally. And you think, well, can't I got a rational argument and you have a rational argument. Let's work it out. It's not like that. Now, look, I'm not a Republican hack. There's a lot of things Donald Trump did that I don't like.
Sure.
And I called out John McCain, Romney. I go through Lindsey Graham. Anybody named Lindsey? I got questions about. I've called out bunches of them. I don't care if they're Democrat or Republican, but that's not the way it is on the other side. Everybody's
It
a
is
hero.
weird.
No crime.
And I can't explain it. I remember on Facebook, which I try not to engage, but a woman who used to be a customer in my retail store put during the whole Kavanaugh thing, she put this really nasty um, cartoon up on her wall, and it came up on my Facebook feed. And then I wrote to her, I said, Heather, what the heck? And I said, guilty until proven innocent, and I made a comment like that. She lashed out at me like it was almost she was demon possessed.
Mhm.
And I had to remind her, hey, wait a minute, don't you remember? It's Robert, it's me. Don't you remember coming into my store? We talked about your kids. We talked about you living in Germany. Don't you remember our deep conversations? Didn't you like coming into my store and we had good talks and stuff? It's me. Why are you lashing out and throwing me the finger and saying all these mean things against me? It almost seemed like some sort of demonic possession or something. It's bizarre. I don't know what's
Well,
happening,
what
but
you're describing is the absurd and irrational, bizarre behavior. Some people, there are groups of women that show their private parts that and say they're screaming at Trump, and there's others that wear those funny hats. There's a group of them that scream at the sky. These are all irrational behaviors somehow, and then you get the Kathy Griffin walking around with a Trump head, a bloody Trump head, and you got that play in New York City, Hamilton. That play. And there's another play where they stab. That might be the same one where they stab a Trump figure to death. Man, it's like that is irrational on every level. And these people is beyond brainwashing, as far as I can tell. It's something more. I mean, all I can say is
yeah,
evil. I don't know what
demonic
else to say.
possession. It
Demonic
seemed like,
possession.
I mean, like back to that example of that woman from my store, I really couldn't believe it because we were on such good terms and such friendly terms. And then she sends me little videos of a finger being flipped off. This is what I think of you. And it's like, what? Since when? Let's turn back the clock 8 years when you were in my retail store. You never would have done that to me. I mean, and these people, a lot of these people are keyboard warriors, and they'd
Yeah.
never say it to someone's face
Right.
anyway. So
Yeah, I saw on my Facebook feed. There's like a 1950 a picture of boys out in the backyard fighting it out, and it said, "This is what it was before people hid behind their keyboards. This is how they settled things right here." But hey, Rose out of YouTube wants to know: will the wall be built?
no,
I
sorry.
was,
Wall
I
won't
was,
be built for a number of reasons. One, it's almost a physical impossibility, I think. And I've lived in the borderlands through most of my adult life. I live in San Diego right now. I lived in Arizona. I grew up in New Mexico, and I've gone through the El Paso border crossing many times. So I've had experience on the border in all four border states. And some of it's a logistical impossibility, I do believe, unless we have to shift the border and build the wall not on the real border of this country. I don't think it will be done
mhm.
because of logistical reasons. There are thousands of miles. I think there is
So
already a
you're
border
not saying that
fence.
it's a deep state resistance thing. You're just saying it's a physical impossibility.
Yeah, I think so because there's some like along the Rio Grande in Texas. Rio Grande makes up the entire U.S. Mexican border with Texas. There are some parts of it, like
on
especially
interstate.
around Big Bend with a D,
Hmm.
Big Bend National Park, where there's 1,000 foot drop to the Rio Grande. There's jagged mountains through Arizona. There's desolate desert interspersed with mountains. A lot of people, when they think about the wall, they think about building a wall in their backyard or in some parking lot. But
Hmm.
the terrain, it's not conducive to what people are saying. And a lot of people who are saying that we should build this huge wall going the entire length of the border, they've never been to the border.
Hmm.
They've never been to the borderlands at all. They know nothing about what it's like. So,
Is there another caravan coming up?
from what I heard, yeah, the first caravan was completely staged. It was, if you want to talk about that, I could go on
Yeah.
forever
Well,
about that.
let's
But I
hear.
was just in Tijuana on Tuesday, and there's still an encampment by the Tijuana River. And I'm telling you, it looks like something out of an African refugee camp.
Hmm.
If you watch the movie, this is what I can compare it to. The movie Blood Diamond with, I guess, Leonardo DiCaprio was in that. Yeah, he
Hmm.
was a South African mercenary. And I think it took place in Sierra Leone, and Sierra Leone was having a war with the neighboring country or whatever, and there were all these displaced people, and there was this big tent city. Well, think of an African refugee camp, and that's what's at the Tijuana River in a kind of sparsely populated area, kind of semi-industrial area of Tijuana. There's all these tents of all the people who are still there, but there's this has been scripted, and I don't believe that these people were on foot the whole time. And once again, it's
Mhm.
because I'm familiar with the terrain. The states of Sonora and Chihuahua, which they had to pass through, they didn't go into Texas. They didn't take the short route. They took the long route.
Mhm.
Why'd they take the long route? Because the theater was to shut down the busiest border crossing in the world on Thanksgiving weekend, the busiest weekend ever at that border crossing. Christmas, there's a lot of traffic going in and out, but it's a nebulous time. Christmas starts around the 12th of December and ends on Tres Reyes Day, the Epiphany, when the three kings made it to Bethlehem to see the baby Jesus. The 12 days of Christmas, 12 days after Christmas, they celebrate that day with cakes that are in the
Mhm.
shape of a crown, and that's the last day of Christmas. And that whole time during Christmas, people are coming and going, but not like the Sunday after Thanksgiving. That is the most heavily trafficked time in that border. And people are going across shopping at Las Americas Mall, which that entire outlet mall got shut down that day too, in addition to the border itself, which hadn't been closed down since September 11th. And it was complete chaos. And I was thinking of going down there. The thought was in my head for about 2 seconds. Thinking of going down there just to check it out, but there was no way that you could get within a few miles of the border that day. And it was absolutely amazing what happened. Why couldn't they have attempted to cross on a Tuesday in March or something?
Mhm.
No, it was completely scripted, and I do not believe that these people walked all the
Mhm.
way because, like I said, I know the terrain, Sonora and Chihuahua, those are inhospitable deserts.
Mhm.
And you've seen some of the pictures of these portly women, these
Right.
overweight women with their iPhone. They would never, they could not
No.
last a half an hour in those
No, you talk about
conditions
stage.
of
That goes right back
crossing
to what
that
you said
desert.
about being scripted and staged. I mean, yeah, I've seen it. Dozens of these fat women with these kids is like, and they all got brand new backpacks and iPhones. I'm thinking, man, if I took a 3,000 mile journey on flip flops, I wouldn't be weighing 300 freaking pounds and throwing kids over the border fence.
It's
And
impossible.
I've seen them. I've
And
seen, and they're crawling up there. It's like so out of shape, and they're trying to climb over. And you got people pushing up their fat asses and stuff, trying to push them over. It's like, man, this is wrong. What is going on here?
and then that iconic picture of the woman in the Tijuana River. The Tijuana River is an intermittent river. When it gets to Tijuana and it empties into the Pacific, when there are a lot of rains, that river can be maybe 5 to 10 feet deep, but usually it's a trickle. And there's like homeless encampments down there and stuff, and people gathering refuse for recycling, usually. And the iconic picture of the woman with the 7-year-old girl in diapers,
Mm-hmm.
there's another tip off,
Packed diaper.
running across the river. That was terrible. I
Mm-hmm.
saw that picture and was like, oh my gosh. And I knew exactly where that picture was taken. I've been across that bridge many, many times. And like I told you off air, I was in Tijuana just on Tuesday because it was after Tres Reyes. It was after, the holiday. And I figured the border, it would be easy to cross and all this stuff. And it was pretty easy, but there's still concertina wire. There's still huge steel barriers that can be moved and can be mobilized in, a
Mm-hmm.
minute or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And there's still heightened security. And like I said, that camp is there, which is, I've never seen anything like it in real life. Just this massive refugee camp, and it's filthy and everything. Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen. What's going to happen with the people who are there? I know there are more people that are coming,
Mm-hmm.
but those people who are in the camp are in limbo. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know why aren't they going back? Why? If it was the weekend of Thanksgiving, then they've been there for quite some time
What
now.
do the people of Tijuana think about this horde?
They don't want them there. even the government officials are like, we don't want these people here.
Jim
Not at
Acosta,
all. I mean,
Jim Acosta said that Trump's making it up that another caravan's coming, but the reports are that another caravan's coming even larger, maybe twice as large as this one. If they hit Tijuana, I mean, from what you're describing, it's going to be some kind of apocalyptic nightmare scenario with a whole lot of. We talk about poop in the first hour, man. I mean, it's going to be a nasty place.
it's going to be nasty. And if they close that border again, people who have never been there, who have never been to the borderlands, it's hard to really describe what that crossing is like. There are 25 lanes. I mean, think in some of the biggest cities in the United States, there are 5-lane highways. There are 25 lanes going into the United States. Sometimes the line of cars is a mile long or longer. And sometimes it takes an hour and a half just to drive across that border. And there's a lot of commerce there. They shut down all 3 borders. There's the San Isidro crossing, that's with the 25 lanes. Then there's the Otay Mesa, that's a little bit more to the east, and that's for mostly commercial traffic, truck traffic. And then the other one in San Diego County that is farther to the east is Tecate, and there's one road in and one road out. And that one's not open 24 hours, but that's kind of like off, not it's not very frequented. And I've been through there before too. And it's a 1930s building. It's like old school customs, but the main crossing at San Ysidro, people just can't imagine what it's like. Like I said,
How is it?
25 lanes, and then 2 overland crossings. The new one is called Chaparral. They've been doing total remodeling of the border since 2011, and they're going to be finished, I think, this year. And it's been chaos enough trying to figure out, okay, where do I go now? Where's where's the line? Where's the Sentry line or the fast lane line? What new building is there? And there's been tightened security going into Mexico too. Now you have to show your passport and actually get it stamped by Mexican officials. That's been new as of 2 years ago. They used to just wave you on in or whatever. But everything is tighter now. But I've never seen 6 feet of barbed wire before, and these massive steel barricades. If this other caravan comes up here, it's gonna. I don't even know what to say. It's gonna be insane.
How in the heck do they manage 25? I've seen the video of that the entry point there. How can they guarantee? How can, wouldn't some of these people in these caravans just get in a car and I mean, do they check every single person coming across there?
Now you're asking the right questions. It's easier to get into the United States than people will think. I mean, if you have the proper identification and you say, like I told you, that big outlet mall, there's a huge outlet mall right across the border called Las Americas. And that's an excellent place to go shopping. Some people, even from the interior of Mexico, Mexico City, will fly up to Tijuana and cross the border just to go shopping at that mall. And then maybe to go into San Diego, further in to go shopping. But a lot of people will just cross the border to go shopping for a day. And all you have to say to the border guard in your car is, I'm going to Las Americas just to go shopping for the afternoon, and they'll let you in. So, yeah, who's to stop anybody really from coming into the United States
So that horde
through one
hasn't
of the,
figured that
I
out?
mean, and that's why a border wall, anyone can come in here if they want. I've seen, this reminds me of a ridiculous thing that I saw when I was crossing by land. Some of those lines, especially like around Christmas, you can be waiting on foot for 2 hours to cross.
Mm-hmm.
I have a Sentry card, so Sentry card is the fast lane. You can go in. But I was in the San Isidro border crossing overland, and there are like 15 lanes for people, I guess lines. Mm-hmm. And there was a woman there, and she was trying to cross a little boy dressed as a girl. and she had the paperwork for a girl, and the little boy blew it because they said, "Cómo te llamas? What's your name?" And he said, "Yo soy Jose, no Maria, soy."
That didn't
He
work.
blew it, but it was a bad attempt. I mean, you make fun of Caitlyn Jenner, this poor little boy dressed up as a girl. It's sad, but yeah, the border is just an interesting place for sure.
Well, Robert, we're getting near the end of the broadcast. Any predictions that you've got written down there that you want to say before we get going?
I think we covered a lot of them. There's a lot of space predictions that I make because I think the whole space exploration thing is pretty scripted too. Elon Musk is going to do the whole Mars thing and
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. I predict a lot of earthquakes, and the only reason why I'm accurate on the earthquakes is because I figure out where there hasn't been an earthquake. And so I predicted that there would be an earthquake in Indonesia this
Mm,
year. And so we'll see if that happens.
okay.
But anybody can look. I don't have any blocks on my Facebook or anything, so anybody can go to my name, Robert Bitto, and I think there's two other people in the world with my name, and they're both European. You can go to my Facebook and check out the predictions. Friend me if you want. I'll accept your friend requests. I did for Floor Worker last week. So yeah, anybody who wants to be my friend, fine. You
Oh.
can look at the predictions. You can make comments, make suggestions, whatever. Yeah.
So that's where you have a comprehensive list.
Yeah, that's really the only place I think I can put it because it doesn't really mesh with my Mexico Unexplained or anything. So and I've been doing this now. I think this is my 6th year of doing the predictions, and I always keep it on Facebook.
Okay. And once it's out there, man, people can check later.
I know people hold my feet to the fire. That's fine. I do admit I am wrong. I thought last year Madonna would die, and she didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And But the freakiest prediction that I ever made was in 2017. I said Oprah will go blonde, and sure enough, I was in the movie theater and I was sitting down watching the trailers, and she was in a movie. I think she played a witch, and she had blonde hair for the movie. I was like,
Oh.
wow, I was right.
Well, see, I predicted last year that they would find Obama's real birth certificate. I didn't get that one right. They're still looking for it.
If you talk to Freeman, remember what I said. He's a clone. He's not even.
Maybe.
Yeah, there's too much sketchiness with
All
that
right.
guy, but
Well,
I don't know.
Robert Biddle, I appreciate you coming back on the program for our predictions show. Can we have you back again sometime?
Yeah, anytime. It's always fun, and anybody can really see me in the chat too. I like chatting with the people. You have a good group of people in the chat, and very friendly and everything. So yeah, I'd love to come back. It's a great show. Thanks.
All right, Robert. I appreciate you coming on, and stay safe out there in Cali.
I will. Thank you, Daniel.
All right, bye bye.